Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world. We must say a special good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Louisiana, North and South. All the places or nook and crannies that our signals make it through, folks. We're going to have a great show today, an interesting show because I have a story to tell. But anyhow, folks, buenos dias, ¿cómo están, mis amigos? But before we get any further, let's go to the geniuses in the studio. Good morning, hermanos. How are you guys doing this morning?
Well, we don't know. It's Monday morning. We haven't figured it out yet. I have a rant for you.
All right.
Are you interested in listening to a rant?
I am always interested in listening to your rants, my brother.
Okay. I spent the weekend doing the research and reading up on the Donald Trump trials and yada, yada, and all that sort of thing. Now, interestingly enough, Mr. Trump was mouthing off about the E. Jean Carroll decision in a rally in Georgia. Again, this man cannot keep his mouth shut. She was somebody I never met, I never knew, I never talked to. She wrote terrible things about me in her book, and this terrible, horrible, crooked judge. You know what? If I were the judge, I would throw him in jail and say, Mr. Trump, our courts are stronger than you are. How about a little time? 30 days in the hole. But anyway, 30 days in the hole. The other rant part is I foresee a split in the Republican Party because there's already a lot of disgruntled Republicans about this Trump thing and this Lara Trump saying, we're going to spend every penny to make sure that Donald Trump is reelected. Well, wait a minute. That's not all that money is for. That money is for the Republican Party to run their candidates.
Exactly.
And if they drain the candidates' fund for Donald Trump only, it's not Donald Trump's money, for heaven's sakes. But I foresee a split in the Republican Party. They're going to be pro-Trump, anti-Trump. So they're going to split sometime this year. I foresee a split in the Republican Party. And then they're just not even going to win the elections. It's just not going to happen because this Republican Party, the sane ones are saying, wait a minute, hold on. You can't spend all of our money on this one guy. And they're saying, oh, yes, we can. So there's going to be a split. I foresee that happening sometime around late summer. They're going to go, no. That is, if he gets out of his criminal trials and such. If he manages to skate out of those. However, I do see that the Republican Party is being completely destroyed by this man. And the old Republican guard is going to say, wait a minute, no. So we'll see. But that is my prediction. My little crystal ball here says Republican Party will split over Trump.
You know, I don't think your crystal ball is wrong at all. In fact, I think you guys have been hearing me talk about while everybody's worried about the polls right now, and I've been worried about the polls, I actually think that the only way that we get any kind of Republican win of substance is if Democrats do, of course, what Democrats know how to do very well, take defeat out of the hands of victory. But we'll see. I mean, the landscape is set up for a landslide and I don't mean a landslide in the presidency. I mean a landslide and you put the genesis of it that you have a RNC now that is concentrated on solving the problems of Donald Trump as opposed to trying to solve the problem of Republicans elected throughout the entire country. So I think you nailed it right there.
Well, that is just what I see. And there are movements within the Republican Party to stop this already.
Yeah,
of course, the problem they haven't done very well as far as stopping it, but there will be more voices added as these candidates for the Republican Party go, well, I need campaign funds too. And the donors will say, wait a minute, we're not donating just to Donald Trump.
Right.
So their donations are already in the toilet. They're not getting any donations. There are not many donations now. So it's already starting to happen. And it's always going to be a split over money because money always wins.
There you go. Money always wins. Money always wins. Remember that, people. Money always wins. But what does Jack have to say this morning? Our resident with what do we call the
resident crazy person?
No, I don't call. I don't think. I don't call
those.
The person that actually gives us some wisdom early in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll channel that guy in here. Anyway, okay. This is about Medicare Advantage, and the ICs. I call them ICs, insurance companies, so they're just ICs to me. Medicare take advantage of you is just that. A scam George W. Bush came up with to privatize Medicare. The name Medicare Advantage is deceptive, meant to trick the person into thinking Medicare Advantage is superior to plain old Medicare. And with no out-of-pocket expenses, vision, dental, it seems to be a better deal. And for the people who can afford it, it seems to work well. But what happens when you are paying an insurance? What happens when you're paying an insurance company to administer your Medicare at a profit? That's what they're doing. They're administering your Medicare at a profit for them. So, and I'm not into that at all, really. When your healthcare starts cutting into the X profits, they're going to cut you loose. When it's time to renew, they'll cut you loose. And that leaves you at a time probably when you need your insurance the most. That will happen. And it does happen. There's hundreds of stories, thousands of stories of it. Person gets sick and they start cutting into, and then a year comes up and the insurance doesn't renew them, and then they got to go fight and pay more to get insurance to cover them. It's total scam. I personally don't have a Advantage program or a Gap program because I can't afford it. I can barely afford to use my Medicare. But, some people have more resources to do their insurance, and they need to look at what they're doing for the rest of the people. Being administered at a profit. That's what I'm against.
Outrageous.
Now, let me just say one thing. You do have Medicare Advantage, and if you need to go to a doctor, if you get into a healthcare situation, they take you and they bill Medicare. The only difference here is they're going to then come to try to get the 20% from you as a traditional Medicare recipient. The thing, though, is that a lot of folks understand the game, and they get the bulk of their money with that 80% anyway. They're so overpriced that 80%, they'll hound you if they think you have the money to pay that 20%. But if you don't have the money to pay the 20%, it's more efficient for them to leave you alone. A lot of people don't get that. They just get scared about that forever 20%. My thing is, I want to go through some of that in the show today. That's the actual topic. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm glad, brother, that you didn't completely throw me to the other side where you make me take your topic once again. But I am taking your topic because that was
the anyway. Morning is early. I mean, it's early in the show. We can do that later.
Oh, that's how it is, huh? Okay, that's how it is. Anyway, that's why I love my brothers in the studio. They understand it's all about we. It's all about we. It's all about we. It's us. Anyhow, we're gonna have a great show for you. The title of the show today is "Succumbing to Constant Medicare Advantage Fraud." Stephanopoulos destroys Representative Macy Grace. I don't have the Macy Grace video queued up yet. I'm going to do it as we talk and take calls and all that sort of stuff. I want to remind folks that this is a call-in show. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. I repeat, 713-526-5738. 738. Remember, folks, there are many ways to get the program. You can go to, you can watch it live videos at facebook.com/KPFT Houston or politicsdoneright.tv. You can actually go ahead and listen on air, of course, 90.1 FM. Turn your dials on the FM or get the Android tune-in application for either, or rather, tune-in application for either Android or Apple. We stream as well, and we stream as well at kpft.org, our own website, or the entire KPFT network. All right. And of course, if we don't get to any topics, you can see all that we talked about or intended to talk about at our newsletter, which is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Folks, it has been, and this is the first thing I wrote in last night at probably 1 this morning in a newsletter. It has been a trying weekend that is bleeding into this week. My wife, who has been living with lupus for more than 30 years, came down with severe headaches for a couple of weeks after several visits to urgent care. She was diagnosed with shingles and given pain medication and an antiviral. Nothing seemed to alleviate the pain. Scaringly, I checked on her right after Politics Done Right program on Friday. She could not get out of bed on her own, and her Bell palsy from shingles, where your face looked like it's drooping on one side, looked instead stroke-like. It had gotten so bad that it looked like she was having a stroke. Having a daughter who has had 2 strokes in her late 20s, it was like deja vu. Another stroke in the family. Her mother had already died 2 years previous from a stroke. My daughter has had 2 strokes, and I'm saying, look, it seems like now she's having a stroke. I immediately assisted her in getting clothed and was off to the ER. The doctors were initially sure it was a cerebellum stroke. Given all the indications, she was admitted and many tests were performed. I consider our healthcare system an untrustworthy fraud, and as such, I do not leave loved ones by the hospital without a family advocate ever. So therefore, I stayed there. I'll go into that later, but I want to clarify something. When I say our healthcare system is a fraud, I mean that. From the depths of my heart, from the depths of reality, that's what I mean. The doctors are great. The nurses are exceptional. The orderlies and all these other hard workers are great, great, great people. But the system, the infrastructure around them is nothing but a fraud that turned them into the thieving machines of a system. It's the arms of the octopus that we have there. I know that's harsh, but that's what it is. And later on, before I get into Medicare, I'll tell you the things that I saw as I'm staying there all night and watching what is occurring. But I digress. I consider our healthcare system an untrustworthy fraud, and as such, I do not leave loved ones by the hospital without a family advocate. It turns out my wife had Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which is a sort one form of this shingles. Can mess you up. It mimics a stroke. I slept Friday and Saturday at the hospital, and my daughter took today's shift while I prepare for the program tonight, or while I was preparing for the program yesterday. The trying weekend did not end with my wife's health struggle. After leaving the hospital, I went to the Democratic County Executive Committee meeting to vote on some new rules. I had not seen 2 of my longtime Politics Done Right supporters and friends in about 3 months, and for some reason, their health tribulations did not show up in my feeds. They said that at one point they put it there, but I didn't see it. These 2 strong, healthy guys had a triple bypass and chemotherapy, respectively. I was first very disappointed in myself, as I had not known they were ill. These are friends, and being so busy, I had not gone to our monthly club meetings where I would have found out even though I missed the social media feed. Healthcare must be a human right and removed from the for-profit sector. We cannot run away from illness most of the time. However, the quality of life after suffering something we may have had little control over should not cause suffering or major changes in trajectory because of finances and an inefficient system. In that light, we will fight until we have equal and real access to healthcare. That is one of the goals of what we do. So often we accept things because we don't know things. We accept a lousy system because we think that is all we deserve. We accept a lousy system because we think that's all there is. And we accept it because the people who profit the most from it gives us the belief, the option, or not the option, but the thought process that that is all there is. And that fight requires that we remove the indoctrination from the for-profit healthcare industrial complex. And that is a part of the goal of Politics Done Right and all my social media that I do, books, articles, media, everything is the idea that we have to get to a state where we know we deserve more and we don't work for the oligarchy. We don't exist to transfer all our work and worth to the few at the top. But we have to first acknowledge our own worth to the entire system, and we don't. As I stayed there and again, I was there 24/7 on Friday, Saturday, and half of Sunday. And what I saw in the way the operations went, like I said, these are people doing what they have to do, and these are good people. Our medical first responders were people out there. They are doing the work, people. In fact, on that floor where my wife is, you can see it's a shortage of nurses, and these mostly women are working their bejesuses off. They have all these patients that they have to take care of. And if you have a whole lot of patients to take care of course, patients are going to get neglected. That's why you need an advocate there. It's in a system when you have to take care of your loved ones or whatever, you have to be there to go prod a nurse that has forgotten, given the overload that she or he is on, to make sure that that pain medication is made, to make sure that that particular pill that you know needs to be taken gets taken on time. So you are there. You are supplying. The advocate for that patient now is supplying the labor for free, actually at an expense, because for the time that I am there, I can't do most of my work, even though I set up her room like a confounded office to get some writing. Couldn't do all because I had to do a lot of the caregiving that the nurses would normally be doing but couldn't do because they're so overworked. And, while some people would take it out on the nurses, I understand that they have a full floor that they must take care of, and there are many people there. And you can see many a times they look at the advocate with a double-edged sword. Wow, that person is there to help me. They can bathe the person. They can go ahead and do the things that we would normally have to do ourselves. But now the corporate structure is getting that for free, because as people realize they need advocates in hospitals, guess what? We show up because it's our loved ones. We show up because that's what we do. We show up. You see, doctors, because these are doctors that went to school and paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their degrees, many of them on expensive private loans, not the federal loans that some of them will get forgiven or can get forgiven, but these doctors and these, everybody. So what you see happens at hospitals is every so often the door opens, a doctor you've never seen before shows up, asks you a couple of questions, writes something down on a piece of paper, and leaves. $400, cha-ching. A practitioner comes in, talks to you, you don't know who that person is. They ask some questions, etc., etc., etc. Cha-ching. You need some extra something, water or an aspirin or whatever. They come, they scan your bar, they scan the thing that they're giving you. Cha-ching. Fee for service. Fee for service. Those nurses, they work 3 times a week, 12-hour shifts, fixed price, overtime if they want to. But ultimately speaking, the big spoils, they are taught, they are instructed for the cha-ching. You're in the hospital. The goal is to keep those beds full. The goal is to keep those inside of those rooms requesting and getting as much to up cost the price of healthcare. I've already told you several times ago that the wife had to have a biopsy a few months ago of the kidney. $27,000 for a 4-hour stay. $27,000. So that is the state of our basic healthcare system that affects all of us. All of us. But today we're talking Medicare because of what a listener of Politics Done Right sent me over the weekend. And he said, Egberto, check this out. Medicare Advantage. You need to cover this. This is proof positive that many of our listeners, many of our people need to hear. But before I get started, I already have calls. So I'm going to go to Harry. Folks, call 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Extension number 2 to come on air. 713-526-5738. Harry, come on in, my friend. Well, yeah, I think you can come on in at your convenience. But folks, we are in a position now where we have got to take control. Harry, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
I'm really sorry to hear about Laura, your wife, and the symptom that she's going through. And I want to pray for her just as I prayed for you when you had that head cold and you got better. And I want her to get better as quickly as she can. And just God continue to watch over her so that, and then guide you and help you and your daughter, Ashley, with these health situations that you're experiencing in your life right now. And I'm going to morally support you, and I'm going to always be thinking about you. And I hope Howard's prediction comes right with the Republicans. I hope they screw it up, and that hurts them getting elected in November. And hopefully God will see that Donald Trump is not the factor of that White House. Now, I want to comment on Joe Biden's speech, but also Medicare Advantage. I remember last year you mentioned a guy named Pocan, and Tom Hartman's always had him on his show because I know he's trying to get a petition to diminish Medicare Advantage. And I haven't read anything recently, but I did read something last year that he's been trying to do that because we need to get rid of that Medicare Advantage and strengthen regular Medicare. Now, Joe Biden's speech, what I'll say as far as that, I did not hear in his message, folks, for me to help you, you got to help me for those good things that he talked about with the economy making, and then the start of 15% to 21% for the corporations, tax code going up, and then the 8.2% that the billionaires pay for 25%. That's the start, but that tax code's got to increase. And as the mayor of politicians done right is always talking about, we got to have more progressive tax code. Now, I like the things that he said on the economy with the chip implants, with the chip plants, with the semiconductors. You need you need a college degree, and they employed people in those plants. That was good. I like what he said about abortion and fight for women's abortion rights. But in order to get that, to restore Roe versus Wade and make that federal law, we're going to have more progressive Democrats. He's going to have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House in order for those kinds of things to happen. I also like what he said about the jump fees, getting rid of the jump fees with the credit card. I like that as well. And there was a few other things he said that I liked.
Well, yeah, I mean, folks, tell folks that I want folks to know that of course, you can get the speech anywhere on YouTube right now, and it's a well worthwhile speech. I think to say there are a few things missing, but it's a very worthwhile speech. I think he showed that, to put it bluntly, that the man still got it. Like I said, he's not my favorite guy, but again, I am in full support of what he's done along with progressives. He has gotten more progressive policies passed and we have to be honest, you're the guy that you really wanted to I'm talking about myself. The guy that you really wanted, or the person that you really wanted to win, didn't win. If that other person that won took up the mantra and actually got it done, you have to person up and say, dang, after all, you got it done. Now, I have some problems with the brother, but I'm going to tell you something. All in all, he has been a good president. There's a lot more to do, that we need to change our culture, but there's a lot more to do. But he has done well, not on Israel and not on Medicare Advantage, but even on Obamacare has improved it. So there's a lot to be done. But Harry, I got to go to Johnny, and then I really want to step into.
I wanted to say a couple more things.
Real quick.
But,
you've been 5 minutes.
As far as Israel's concerned, and as far as the border, he wanted to get a bill passed for the border, but he should have started that when Obama in 2021, because when he had a Democratic Congress, he did not do anything to get a bill passed when he had that. Now, I'm glad he punched the Republicans in the gut by not wanting to pass that bill to do something about the border. But
Harry, I got to go. Harry, look, my brother, I love you, but you took a lot of time. I got to give other people the opportunity. Okay? Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, you're on.
Morning, go. You okay?
Yeah, you're on, Mayor. Mayor Johnny, come on in.
All right, future cabinet member. Speaking of which, I just got my consciousness minutes ago, so if I apologize. Mentioning a home health care liver.
Johnny, you are coming in and out. Let's see if we can keep it steady so that people can hear you.
Okay, I'm standing still right now.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So you mentioned delivering home health, and I was thinking about in Japan where they're building these AI robots to deliver care in hospital settings. We could do that, except one thing: we can't do it until we develop universal health care here. Because you and I both know when the private market gets involved, they rip us off. If they want to charge us $3,000 for medicine, of course they're going to charge us $12,000 for a robot that they can deliver for $2,000. So we'd have to have universal health care to take care of that.
Yeah, the thing about it, Johnny, also is all these things are great things, right? But as long as our healthcare system is in the for-profit market, we have to remember that your healthcare is nothing but a tool to make to make that person who runs a corporation's money for their shareholders and executives. We have to understand that the bells and whistles are never for us. The bells and whistles in any hospital, the bells or whistles are there to let us see something shiny, want to accept it so that they can profit from us. I mean, that's the bells and whistles in any business. The bells and whistles in any business is to get you to buy. And that's fine, right? That's fine for a pizza. I make the pizza shop in such a place that you want to go. I go to certain coffee shops because I like the ambiance. They make it so that I would want to sit there instead of drinking cheap coffee at home that tastes just as good. They make it so that I have an ambiance. It's an added value that they give me for how I feel, and I'm willing to pay for it. The thing about it is healthcare should not fall into that same domain. I can't decide when I get sick, and when I get sick, I want to be cured. It's a different animal altogether. And you're right. The only solution to this is taking the profit out of healthcare and and by the way, there is nothing that people always talk about. Competition creates a better system. I think our healthcare system proves that for healthcare, that tenet does not hold. Continue, Johnny.
Well, to add to that comment, you're right. They want us to think that they're in favor of competition and innovation, but proven time and again, and recently, that they are not interested in competition. And as far as Joe Biden is concerned, if he is smart, he wants to get people to vote for him because this ship has sailed as far as I'm concerned. If he wants to turn that ship around, he could say, Cenk Uygur, I want you to be on my cabinet.
Who's that?
Cenk Uygur.
Oh, okay. Got you. Okay.
UYGR, Cenk, C-N-K. He's an upstanding fine American and broadcaster and a podcaster.
Yeah, no, I know who Cenk is. I know Cenk.
That's right, and he's got some legal challenges that he's moving forward, and thank God he's doing that. He's paving the way, but I think he should be on Space's cabinet. That's the only way I would vote for someone like Biden.
You know, well, thank you very much for your call, Johnny. I tell you what Cenk could do. Cenk would bring in a whole lot of progressive for him. Anyhow, let's see. Okay, I see that other call dropped. All right, let's go ahead and get into the video, folks, with Macy. I call her not Macy Grace, with Nancy Mace. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, where I actually go out there and talk about that story. But let's go ahead and talk Medicare Advantage. I got a letter from one of our listeners, Bruce Pollard, and he sent me and the title of the article was Memorial Hermann Hospital System in Houston terminates agreement with Humana's Medicare Advantage networks. In other words, all the people that were a part of the Memorial Hermann system that were being paid via Medicare Advantage, they will lose their doctors. They are struggling for the doctors. So the article starts, Memorial Hermann Health System, the largest hospital system in Houston region, has terminated its agreement with Humana's Medicare Advantage networks. That means Memorial Hermann patients with those insurance plans, meaning if you have Medicare Advantage from Humana and your doctor is a Memorial Hermann system only, you're forget it. They're not providing service anymore. The previous contract between the Houston-based healthcare provider and Kentucky-based insurance company expired on Monday, the first day of the new year, as they failed to negotiate a new agreement, according to Memorial Hermann. Neither Memorial Hermann nor Humana answered email questions asking to determine how many patients are being impacted by their split. Memorial Hermann said in a statement Thursday it is continuing to participate in Humana's commercial networks. If Humana's Medicare Advantage customers are actively receiving treatment at Memorial Hermann hospitals or affiliate clinics, they can continue care until treatment is completed. After that, if you're actively getting treated, you will continue to get service there. But if you are just in the plan and you're not sick yet, but you may need to go get a PAP or whatever, forget it. You got to go to another doctor. This is what we talk about Medicare Advantage. It's not Medicare. You don't get your choices. A corporation makes the choices for you. And if Corporation A is having an issue with Corporation B, they'll just come out right there and say, okay, we'll break up. And the people who suffers and by the way, the breakup occurs because they can't come to financial agreements so that both of these guys can maximize their profits for their shareholders and executives. If they can't come to an agreement, guess who suffers? You do. So all of the people who call in often and say, you know what, Egberto, I love my Medicare Advantage plan. It is great. I can do all these things. Guess what? Your Medicare Advantage plan re-ups every year. Every year you have to go study a whole bunch of plans, see if you're going to keep the one that you have, and see if the one that you have will still be in existence, and then maybe have to switch to the others. Let's understand what these plans are. When you take a Medicare Advantage plan, that has its own cost center. So insurance company will have several Medicare Advantage plans. At the beginning of the year, they evaluate all those different Medicare Advantage plans. Which one made us the most money? Aha. Which one didn't make us a lot of money? Aha. Which one is losing us money? Aha. And we do what? We get rid of that one that is losing us money. And then we go to those people and say, hey guys, this year, these are your choices. Everybody who talks about insurance companies and having multiple insurance companies as a choice have lied to you, have indoctrinated you into believing, if you have one payer, Medicare only, it's socialism. But it's the only one that actually works. All the others are not there for you. They're there for you to make things look pretty in the beginning, but then they're gone if they can't make a profit on it, even after milking the government. Humana maintains a large network of highly rated hospitals and providers in Houston and will work with our Medicare Advantage members to help them select new network providers to ensure their care is not interrupted, the insurance company said in a statement. We understand that changing healthcare providers can be difficult. This is where they're going to try to justify and say, we understand it's hard, but we're going to help you find something that makes us more money. We understand that changing healthcare providers can be difficult, and we encourage our members to call the Humana customer care phone number on the back of their membership cards if they need personal assistance. So here we go. You sign up for Medicare, you're ready to go, it's March. And you thought you were settled for at least a year, that you're all nice and settled, you have your health care, you know which doctors you're going to, and then they zap this onto you. And then they come and say, we understand it's difficult for you to go ahead and spend all that time on the telephone again, all that time trying to read and figure out, if I take this plan, is it going to cover these drugs that I take? Is it going to cover these doctors that I need? It's a sham, my brothers and sisters, and all of those who are currently taking Medicare Advantage. I understand. The truth is, the way it is sold, the millions, the billions of dollars, they even had a Super Bowl commercial, the Medicare Advantage people. The amount of money they spend on advertising, the amount of money they spend on perks to get you in should tell you how profitable it is to give you substandard health care, to give you health care that at some point may cost you your life. Medicare Advantage plans are offered by private companies that contract with Medicare, the federal program that provides health insurance primarily for Americans who are age 65 and older. The plans are also used by some younger people with disabilities and those with permanent kidney failure. In early November, after negotiations between Memorial Hermann and Humana had reached an impasse, insurance company said it must ensure our contracted hospitals and physicians provide quality, cost-effective care to keep health coverage and out-of-pocket costs as affordable as possible for our health plan members. What they're telling you there, that statement from the insurance company says, it is our responsibility to shortchange the hospitals who themselves overprice things, to shortchange them because they're messing with our executive bonuses. They're messing with our profits for our shareholders. That's what that sentence says. But you have to understand this kind of speech. You have to understand corporate speech to get this. And this is what I hope that we can get across to the people that we speak to. We can't keep allowing this to do this. I was speaking to a doctor, a family member that's a doctor, and she said, I am hoping someday, she's a doctor, she's in the system, and she is also a dean of a school. And she says, we try to teach how to be a good doctor, how to treat. And she says, but we are just one school. And after the doctors leave here, they are in the system that is systemically failing. What can we do? Unless the people, the persons that are listening to me, don't fall for the crap and start electing people that have the moniker healthcare for all or Medicare for all or true universal healthcare. But you have to make that step. You are the one who have to do it. I can pontificate from here to never. But until all of us understand that we are being misled, we're being lied to, we're being pitted against each other for the things that are best for us, we're simply transferring our wealth. And the second part of my Medicare Advantage spiel here is an interview with Obama's former CMS, the CMS, Obama CMS guy, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is a government institution that actually governs Medicare and Medicaid, Medicare and Medicaid services. The things that he has to say, I'm going to run through them quickly later. But before that, I got to go to the phones for Augie. Remember, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. And I want that folks to remember something. When I talk here, a lot of times you have folks that talk on radio or elsewhere on the internet or whatever, and they're regurgitating problems of the system. I don't just want to regurgitate problems of the system. I want us to be functionally involved in solving the system. I want us to realize that, as Howard would always say, your vote counts and you must vote, but you also must make an intelligent vote because it actually affects you. Your vote does. Augie, come on in, my friend. Come on in, Augie.
All you geniuses. But I wanted to originally talk about Friday's show, but when he didn't say anything about the Biden speech, but then the Republicans put Junior Senator Katie Britt from Alabama to respond.
Yeah.
And she was in the kitchen, and that tells women, hey, this is where the Republicans want the women. So it's important next vote coming up. And what she had to say was, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. And when had Trump ever done that? And then also, he had a caller talking about he was a Christian nationalist. Well, nationalist is part of a Nazi name. And so, Hitler and Nazis were nationalists, just as Mussolini and the fascists were nationalists. And then he said he was America first. Well, the first Americans were the Native Americans, and the first immigrants were the Europeans who came to the United States. And the Native Americans gave them food and showed them how to survive. Otherwise, they would have all died. But then these Christians, what did they do? They tried to kill the Native Americans and took over their own land. But talking today about advocates, well, I got experience with advocates at a hospital. I had a heart attack about 7 years ago, and I'm glad I had an advocate with me because I was at Memorial Hospital, and they send it to the floor where they have some attendants there at the desk, but they're not really RNs or nurses, or I'm not sure what their title is. But they would give me prescriptions that I didn't need, and then I needed a drip. And so this lady comes in without a drip stand and said, "Oh, just put the drip on the pillow by the side of your head." And my advocate, and I said, "No, it's supposed to be in a drip stand." And she said, "No." So she called the pharmacist, the hospital pharmacist that sent that drip up there, and asked, "Isn't that supposed to be on a drip stand?" She said, "Of course." So she turned the phone over to this lady that brought in the drip, and he shooed her out one side and down the other and told her, "Whatever you do, go find a drip stand." Oh, and when she brought it in, she said she couldn't find one. But then after the pharmacist shoot her out, about a minute or two later, she brought in a drip stand. And then I started getting better care because the people there on the floor knew if they didn't do it right, my advocate was going to call. There was a hospital advocate on duty in the hospital, and you can call her if you don't get good service in a hospital. You can call her up and tell her how bad their service is.
Right.
So I heard him talk and said, "You better take care of this patient because his advocate's going to call the advocate and going to call the head nurse."
Exactly.
So then I can get better care.
Let me tell you, and I don't. The one thing that I don't want us to do, and you're so right, and I'm glad that you had your advocate. And like I said, my wife is in the hospital, and she will have an advocate there with her 24/7. Like I said, I was there 24/7 the last 2 days. My daughter is there now, and she's given constant updates. The thing about it is, again, this is not the fault of these individuals that work there. They are just a part of a systemic system that is broken. And I want to make the nurses and the doctors and the orderlies and all these guys understand that I am on their side. It's a corporate structure under which they work that is fatal. Augie, I want to continue a little bit with the other part of the Medicare Advantage. So let me go ahead and do that. And I want to thank you so kindly for bringing that up and also telling your story, because I think what works best is when people understand that these are stories that affect you and me. And even if they have not yet gotten sick, they can see that if they get sick, it'll affect them. The only reason these people are so successful is that at any given times, probably 95% of us are healthy. So we don't really think about these things as critical. But when you are there in the hospital, when you're the one that's sick, it does matter. Thank you so kindly, Augie, for calling in.
Yeah. And these hospitals tell you that they're for a profit, not for the patient. And they say they're a profit hospital.
Right. It is. And even look, but here, one thing real quick, because now that you brought up the profit thing, even though that's what they say, brother, even though it's the for-profit ones, even the non-profit hospitals are there for the executives. Take a look at those pays and their expenditures and think about who they spend with. You can have a non-profit hospital that's giving its services to all these other for-profit entities, and it's under a 501c3 or 501c whatever, but it is funding a whole lot of for-profit stuff at high prices. So it's all a sham. But thank you so kindly, Augie, for calling in.
Yeah, thanks.
But anyway, folks, for people who are under the memorial system here in Houston and other areas, there is a healthcare, and you are going to be searching for new doctors, etc., and they're willing to help you. The insurance companies knows that it's so difficult, and it could be difficult times, but we're here to help you. But we can't go with those other people because they're bad. They're not giving the right kind of healthcare at the right price. It's a sham. But anyway, on March 1st, Obama's CMS chief, Medicare Advantage guy, not Medicare guy, the guy who ran CMS, that's the Government Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He gave an interview to MedPage. But there's one question that I'm going to start with, just so I don't make a mistake and forget to tell you how serious these things are. And the question that they asked him, and I'm scrolling down to it now. I didn't have it. I didn't have it highlighted, but in effect, he said, "You spoke about quality vote." No, not that one. I don't want to say it out without having the actual words for it. I see. I want to shift from need to venue. Okay. Anyway, I can't find the part of the article right now, but what he asked is, he asked the CMS director, she asked the CMS director, do you know of any doctors that are over 65 who take Medicare Advantage over traditional Medicare? And the answer was, he knew of not one doctor. Not one doctor age 65 and over, because, Medicare starts at 65. There was not one doctor that took Medicare Advantage. Ask yourself a question. If the people that are providing you service won't themselves ever take Medicare Advantage, please tell me, why is it that we, the people, should ever? And by the way, I understand how, because of pricing, some people are, but if you listen to what our brother in the studio said, Jack said, he has traditional Medicare. He can't afford Medicare, the Medigap, which covers the 20%. But I'm going to tell you one thing. My brother there, when he says he can't afford to use it, if he really has to go into a hospital, he can go anywhere. He can go to just about any doctor, right? Now he's going to be up for the 20% charge, but, many places understand where we are and they will forgive that. But I'm going to summarize, because I don't have a lot of time left, the article and the long interview with the CMS director that really explains Medicare Advantage is in the newsletter that you can go ahead and click to the link for this interview. It's not enough to just hear me say Medicare Advantage is bad. The guy who ran the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, the people who puts it out there for the government, the guy who headed it for President Obama, who ran it for President Obama, he's out there telling you it's bad. He's out there telling you it rips us all off. He out there tells you that it is putting the entire Medicare Advantage, all that for profit thing is putting the entire Medicare system in danger, and our tax system in danger, with ever inflated prices that are going to these execs. This is not speculation. This is real. And I want you to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Today's we have all the newsletter for all the shows, all the videos, everything that we always do. And the good thing about it is that again, you can get it and get the past shows at everything. But when Bruce gave me the article, I was sitting down in my wife's room. I was writing a couple of blogs, and I immediately emailed him back when I saw the email, and I said that will be Monday's topic. We've spoken about Medicare Advantage before, but we need to talk about it again and again and again as we get new listeners over and over again, because we are the ones who have to make this change. 713, we only have a few minutes left, but I can take a call or two. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738, extension number 2, and you'll be on air right away. You have to do it quickly because we're getting ready to terminar esta cosa, finish this thing up. But again, like I said, it is a lot of us come on here and talk about problem. This is a problem. And many times you listen to these shows and, we rant about all the things that are going bad. And you leave the show feeling, or the program feeling, well, damn, what is there to do? And my thing is to first let us know it's not going to be solved overnight. And that we have to come to that realization. This stuff took a while for the tentacles of the corporate oligarchs to take your money in the form of taking over the healthcare system. Yes, they did that. It's going to take a while to get the politicians that are being paid for by these guys, and things can't change in a dime. When I look at all the computerized systems in this place, I'm like, oh my God, the gravity to change all these structures into a unified structure like they have in Canada, where your card connects everything together. It's going to be a little while to do it, but it has to be done. And you know how we do it? We do it by you remaining engaged. Let me go ahead and pass it back to the studio for some final comments, and then I'll close this baby out. Howard.
Oh, nothing much for me. Jack, you got some wisdom here in the end?
Well, just, you have to be aware that, bad stuff. They're doing bad stuff. I mean, they're using man, I can't talk this morning.
Those rats.
That was rats. That's all. But let me just close out this way, folks. This is not despair. This is accepting accepting that you're empowered to make the difference. That's where we need to be. Accept that you're empowered to make the difference, and don't let anybody make you believe that asking for what you have worked for is socialism. Don't let anybody tell you that asking for what your worth is somehow unattainable. We have to come together and elect the right people in office. That's the way it is done. You know what those corporate guys did? They elected the right people. They paid to elect the right people. Now we need to use our vote. We'll finish this up throughout the week. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank the callers. We didn't get a lot today. I hope that meant most people were just listening. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.